is wrong with you people? They're dead. They're fucking dead, and you want to teach them tricks?
Welcome, cultists, to the final part of our Romero trilogy special. And if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you'll know that in the last few weeks we've taken a deep dive into zombie territory with our look at Night of the Living Dead on Mike's Cinema Classics, as well as our recent trip around Monroeville Mall for Dawn of the Dead over on Silver Screen Regular Flavor. If you haven't seen those, by the way, please check those out. There's some good discussion in there. So now, finally, we come to the darkest day of horror the world has ever known, or in other words, podcast recording day. That's right. After night and dawn comes the day. Day of the Dead, to be precise. So come with us for the next hour and change as we head underground to talk about the 1985 horror spectacular. I'm DK, your reliable, not so reliable host for these things. And as always, I'm not alone for this cinematic foray. And if you have been with us for the earlier episodes of this special, they'll be very familiar to you. First up, he's been on so many of these things with me now that he's almost becoming a permanent fixture. He's the dude who runs this whole shabby circus, as well as the host of Cinema Classics. It's Mr. Mike Wilson. Oh, come on, dude. A bit more enthusiasm. So, yeah, hopefully this one will round things off well. Next, we've got our strong woman character of this group of survivors. You've heard her throughout our specials, as you've heard her on Silver Screen throughout recent months. Although, this is the first time she's making an appearance on Cult Classics. It's Nita.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Not at all. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm having a good day. Thank you.
Good. Have you enjoyed these dives into Romero's catalog?
I love it. I'm a big zombie lore fan, so yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot.
Cool. So, ready to dig your teeth, pun not intended, into this one?
Absolutely.
Nice one. Finally, we have the recent addition to our group. He was first here to talk about Dawn of the Dead last time, but he's stuck with us in today. It's Josh.
Hey, guys. Hope everybody's doing good today.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
Great. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. You had a good time with us so far on these things?
I have. I definitely have.
Good. I think it's safe to say you're a fan of these movies. Is that right?
Yes, very much so.
Cool. Very well. Now, I should mention that though Nita and Josh have joined us before, this is the first time they've appeared on Cult Classics. And it's been a while, seeing as we generally have our regulars join us. But for those of you who follow us regularly, remember, we always ask our new guests to Cult Classics a question, kind of to give the audience a glimpse into their psyche, but mostly for the fact that Mike and I can place a wager on the outcome. So, yeah, so with that in mind, I'm going to come to you first on this one, Nita. What is your favorite all-time cult movie? And that can be from any genre, but a cult movie that you could happily sit and watch over and over. Your number one, so to speak.
Okay, so it's it's so funny. This is one of those movies that I absolutely love. And I know I'm drawing a blank. But I know if I describe it, you're going to immediately know what this movie is. It's going to remind me of the name. But it's a movie I can watch over and over and over again. I can get so much out of this movie. Let me get the words here. There's like this alien species that puts the people in the pod and they change them and they become them and they have no feelings. And no
about Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Yes, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, my brain just went completely blank. My apologies. I absolutely love that movie.
Which
I
one
like
is
the
it?
original. The original.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Nice.
the
Perfect.
original, because the screaming is epic in this movie. And the pods. Okay, this is weird, but every time I eat Brussels sprouts, I think of this movie because those pods just look like gigantic Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. Okay, I have very delicious recipes with Brussels sprouts, but this, every time I eat it, I think of this movie. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think it's just such a great movie, and terrifying. And you don't know what it is you're scared of because you just don't see anything other than humans, right? But you see the process that they go through, and it's terrifyingly wonderful. I absolutely love it. I think it was so ahead of its time when it came to horror and even in sci-fi. Oh, it's a sci-fi. It just clicked. Yes, sci-fi queen, loving the sci-fi, right? But yeah, I absolutely love Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
All I have now is an image of someone sitting down for Christmas dinner, being presented with a plate and just screaming. Yeah, so coming to you, Josh, same question. What's your all-time favorite cult movie?
So this movie was introduced to me at a very young age, and I feel like it should not have been. But I definitely don't feel that it should have been introduced to me at the age of 14. But my parents wanted me to see it. It's the Rocky Horror Picture Show, actually.
Woo!
Really?
Yeah.
That's some broad-minded parentage.
And like I said, I don't think it should have been brought to me at the age of 14.
Probably
But
not.
it has become my absolute favorite cult classic. And as a matter of fact, we do every year around Halloween. We do the shadow casts of it, and
nice.
I've been in so many of them. This year, I'm actually directing the shadow cast, so I'm not in it. But it's one of those movies that, again, I can, strangely enough, if I need to feel comforted, I watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Just something about Tim Curry and fishnets. I don't know.
You are my
Oh,
soul
Joshua.
brother.
Exactly.
My soul brother.
But yeah, it's like a lot of people. It's definitely an acquired taste. And I do love the fact that Disney is going all out for the 50th anniversary this year, and they're putting out the 4K Steelbook, and they're promoting the hell out of the movie, which makes me very, very happy, because I think that it needs to get out there and it needs to be seen by newer generations who haven't seen it yet. And the fact that it's survived for 50 years as the longest running film constantly in a cinema, it's phenomenal. So
Cool. Well, we was it last year that we took a look at that one, Mike?
Oh, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, I think it was last year. But
Was it? Or was it
yeah.
this? I can't.
No, it wasn't this. Oh no, it wasn't this year. I don't know. It's on there anyway.
yeah, we've done it, but we've got two senile guys on the podcast, so
I'm busy looking up to see, because I wanted to see what's happening with our bet, because I thought I'd won both of those points, but I've only actually won one. For some reason, I was convinced that one version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers was on the list, and it's not. So Nita cost me that point, but I was right about Rocky Horror. That's already on the list, so I got a point for that one.
You've got a point, so I'm now 4 ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, terrible.
But yeah, I think this both really good choices. So yeah, now we know a little bit more about our guest. It's time to take a look at today's movie, Day of the Dead. It's a 1985 American post-apocalyptic zombie horror film written and directed by George A. Romero, produced by Richard P. Rubenstein. It's the third film in Romero's Night of the Living Dead series. At one point, just a trilogy. Stars Laurie Cardeal, Terry Alexander, Joseph Pilato, Jerry F. Conroy, and Richard Liberty as members of a group of survivors of a zombie apocalypse sheltering in an underground bunker in Florida, where they must determine the outcome of humanity's conflict with the undead horde. Romero described the film as a tragedy about how a lack of human communication causes chaos and collapse even in this small little pie slice of society. Work on the film began shortly after the release of the previous film in the series, Dawn of the Dead, but it was halted when Romero began work on other projects. The screenplay was rewritten multiple times to UFDC's concerns that Romero's ambitious original vision, which he personally described as the Gone with the Wind of zombie films, would need to be shot with the intention of receiving an R rating from the Motion Picture Association of America to ensure its commercial viability. Romero elected to make the film on a lower budget and release it without a rating. It was filmed in fall 1984, that's autumn for us Brits, with above-ground scenes in the cities of Fort Myers and Sanibel and underground scenes near Wampum, Pennsylvania. Tom Savini returned to provide the film's special effects, and he was assisted by a team of artists that included Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger, who later became known for their work on the TV series The Walking Dead. It premiered in Hicksville, New York on June the 30th, 1985, and grossed $34 million worldwide against a budget of approximately $4 million. Although the makeup effects were praised, the film initially did not match the critical and commercial success of its predecessors. Reception of the film has improved with time, and Romero deemed it to be his personal favourite in the original trilogy. Like its predecessors, Day of the Dead has garnered a cult following and inspired numerous parodies and homages. And like everything we look at here on the show, Day of the Dead is available on streaming services depending on your location, as well as physical media. Now, I was fascinated by the idea of zombies as a kid. Instigated, I believe, from picking up a zombie Dungeons and Dragons-led miniature, though I'd never seen an actual zombie movie. But that all changed one summer afternoon when my friend's parents were away. They rented this one from the video store, and we couldn't watch things like that at our age, officially, anyway. So we sat there with a plate of chips, fries to our American friends, covered in ketchup, and watched as the credits rolled on this one. And honestly, I was never the same. It enthralled me so much, I picked up an ex-rental copy from a market stall in Skegness a year or so later, and I watched this thing repeatedly. It was this that spurred me to check out Romero's other movies, hence the reverse order I initially saw them in. However, this is always going to hold fond memories for me. It was a zombie film that popped my cherry, so to speak.
Whoa.
So yeah. I was pure and innocent before this movie. So how about you guys? I mean, do you remember the first time seeing this? I'm going to come to you first, Nita.
Yes, absolutely. I actually do. I was pretty young when this movie came out. I think I must have been, 13 or something. I don't know, around there. And I remember watching it and very excited about watching it because I love zombies. And I had seen the other ones. So it was definitely different than I expected it to be. I did enjoy the zombies. I did enjoy the female character, and I did enjoy, having the experience of watching the movie. But I have some thoughts we'll get into later.
Yeah, no worries. What about you, Josh? When did you first see this? Any memories of it?
Yeah, I remember. So, as I had said previously on the previous episode, I watched the original Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead after I saw 28 Days Later. And Day of the Dead was right in with those. Like, I watched all three of them. I binged as many zombie movies as I could. So yeah, it was probably 02, 03. I think I was in my teens. I became obsessed with zombies, and it was just one of those things where anything zombie related from then on out, I absolutely adored.
Cool. And were you impressed with this one when you first saw it?
Honestly, it's my favorite out of the original trilogy of the three.
Cool.
And I know that it has its detractors.
Yeah, I think at least one of them is on this podcast, mate, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I kind of got that too. But yeah, it's actually my favorite of the original three, and it's yeah. Well, we'll get into other stuff later.
No worries. So yeah, speaking of detractors, when did you first see this, Mike?
It's an odd story actually, if you'll allow me. What happened is this dates back to when my parents got divorced when I was around 12 years old. My mum obviously had to move into a new place, and we moved into a flat not far from the family home, and it was furnished when we moved in. And for some reason, whoever it is that had vacated the place had left a VHS copy of Day of the Dead in the kind of TV cabinet that was part of the house.
No,
I have no
way.
idea why it was just left there, and it sat there for ages, and it just nobody moved it. It was just sat inside this little cupboard in the TV kind of cubby area. You know what I mean? The kind of TV cabinet.
Yeah.
So it sat there for like years and years. And then I think we'd lived in that house for about 4 or 5 years when I was like, I should probably watch this. It's been sat here long enough. And at that point, I had already seen at least, I think, Dawn and probably Night as well. So I was like, we'll give it a go. But it was kind of one of those things where I was like half watching it, because I think we were having a raucous night of some kind, and it was like, put it on in the background. And I remember, yeah, we put it on, and I wasn't super impressed by it even then, and it didn't really stick in the memory. And then that was the last time I watched it until like this week. So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll take a look at it now. We'll get into the writing. Now, the original script, for which Romero couldn't get the budget, involved the scientists living above ground in a fortress protected by electrified fences, and the military living safely underground. It also involved a small army of trained zombies, and the conclusion to the trilogy, more brutal than the release version. This later formed the basis of Land of the Dead. A total 5 scripts were written as Romero wrestled with the film's concept and budgetary constraints. First draft was over 200 pages, which he later condensed to 122 pages, which turned out to be the true original script, and to date, copies of it have not come to light. This version was likely rejected, as I said, because of the R rating pending. He subsequently scaled down the scope into a 165 draft and then condensed it again to a 104-page draft in an unsuccessful final attempt to get the story within budget parameters. So when this failed, he drastically altered the original story and ultimately produced a shooting draft that numbered only 88 pages. And he'd originally planned for all the zombies to perish in a massive explosion when they stumbled upon explosive chemicals in the lab. Meanwhile, one of the crew members who had died during the attack was to have stayed dead and not come back as a zombie, thereby giving hope to the survivors. So, let's come on, let's dive right into this. So,
Yes.
Writing. What do you think to the writing, guys? And I'm going to open this up to anybody that wants to punch it out.
Now, when you say writing, can you elaborate before we...
The script, the
I want to make
dialogue.
sure I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, the dialogue. Let's talk about the dialogue. Yes, I think that I understood why the dialogue had to be a certain way. I think that the characters that were written needed to be reflected in how they express themselves, right? That's part of the cinematic experience, where you have a character who doesn't just act a certain behavior, but is expressing that verbally. That's how the audience can connect and understand, oh, this character is XYZ kind of way. But it's just hit real personal for me, some of the language and some of the insults that were being used, and I get that you need it for effect, but it was so constant throughout the entire movie that I was like, wow, give it a break, like take 5 minutes and breathe, brother. Like it that didn't merit that particular language at that point. But it was harsh at times, to be honest, for my ears to like kind of receive. And I think that it was good because it identified, oh, this is that rough and tough kind of character. This is that racist character. This is that character with stereotypes. I wanted to make sure that I knew this is acting, this man or may not feel this way in real life. He may not use this language in real life, but it was rough because honestly, it's not language I'm accustomed to hearing. So it was like, oh, wait a minute, this is a movie, back down, So yeah, it was rough. That movie was rough. The language can be rough at times.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of piggyback off that with one of my points, I do think there are times in this where Romero's script is kind of like a dog with a bone, and it finds one thing and just repeats it constantly. So like Nita said, the racist language is one example, but I also found it's really hard to, identify with the characters because at least two of them are just basically walking catchphrases. And it just gets irritating after a while because they're so stereotypical. You've got the stereotypical Irishman, the Jarlath Conroy. Oh, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph every 2 minutes. And I'm like, give it a fucking rest, honestly. This is one step away from giving him a tam o'shanter and having him dance around a rainbow, for fuck's sake.
Oh shit! I must have got the extended version. You didn't see that?
So I hate that, and I hate the Jamaican character the same every other like, oh yeah, man.
Oh yes, God. If he said "man" one more time, I said I know Jamaican people, and "man" is not spoken that often. Okay, this
exactly. It felt stereotypical, and it just felt like.
But it's. I will say the language can be overused and the falling back on the racist language. I get that they were trying to make the military out to be a bunch of bastards, but when the casting and framing of the characters can be considered, I can see you guys' point with regards to that.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh?
Sorry.
No, go on, mate.
I think to that point as well, I would have preferred it if there was at least a little bit of a chance to be sympathetic towards the military guys, especially the main guy, because he's doing a good job at the acting, but it's just like it's so one-dimensional. Like he's crap the entire way through, and that's not interesting to me. I'd prefer it if there was a bit of a glimpse of humanity or something to latch onto there, as opposed to just no, he's a shit the entire way through.
Yeah. Josh.
So I'm gonna preface my answer by saying yes, I know I said this is my favorite of the original trilogy because it is, but the writing is very clunky. The racist dialogue it's bad and it's repetitive, and it's just a lot of Romero's writing in this. Just it didn't flesh out the characters enough for me, in a way. And then some of them it attempted to flesh out too much. Just like Nita said with the stereotypes, he went overboard with a lot of them. And it's definitely a product of its time.
And I'll say this much: the stereotype kind of dialogue and acting that was expected was kind of all the way around, because the scientist was like, you think about that, okay? It's a zombie. Why are you talking to it like it's a child? It's a zombie.
Yeah.
It does nothing.
Yeah, but
a scientist would know better. He was crazy. Yeah. He had lost his mind.
Yeah, he was a bit.
He had lost his mind.
Yeah.
I had massive issues with the zombie lore. Yeah, for sure. It was.
Yeah. They're messing with the zombie lore. Don't mess with zombie lore.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, let's get on to that. What do you we've talked about the dialogue and stuff, but what do you think about the plotting of this, the arc it took?
I can't get on board with the whole freaking training zombies thing. First of all, I think if you have a problem with bullies having a custard pie fight, but you're fine with a zombie precision shooting a fucking gun, then frankly you need to get some perspective.
Nah, that's fantastic, mate.
It's equally ludicrous, though. I mean, it's supposed to be a shambling corpse. And it's just, I could not get on board with it from the start. I was like, no, this is ridiculous. It's just stupid. It's not zombies as we understand them. And if you're going to change it, fair enough, but not when it's in your own series. And that's not the only example. I mean, in Night, and I think potentially even in Dawn, they go on about, like, you've got to shoot them in the head, or you can decapitate them. If you remove the head, they'll die. Here you've got heads that are still alive, just happily chomping away and stuff. I was like, well, which is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I feel like he changed the rules a little bit for this one from what he had already established.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's like you need to go with what you've already pre-established unless you show a very good reason as to why you're changing these rules.
I mean, he does. The thing is, he does even point that out in this when you first see Frankenstein, and he goes into that thing about they're running on pure animal instinct. They can't ingest food because none of their organs are there, and they're just doing it because it's what they need to do. But but
I'm kind of fine with the instinct idea, and I get that Bub would kind of, as a former soldier, he would certainly do certain things like the saluting and stuff. But like, if you look at just the last movie when Flyboy gets turned into a zombie and he's holding the gun and he doesn't even know how to hold it, it's just hanging off his hand because they haven't got the sense to be like, I know what this is, I know what it does, but I don't know how to freaking oppose my thumbs or shoot at someone.
He does kind of retcon things, and this was supposed to be the last before Land of the Dead came out, and it's hinted at even in this that the phenomenon that caused the plague has kind of disappeared, because when they shoot Frankenstein, he doesn't reanimate, and he's not shot in the head. He's just, But yeah, I kind of like that there was a little hint there that it had actually ended. But it obviously went on from there, and I'm not a big fan of the more recent trilogy, but yeah, I mean, what do you think to the whole in Dawn? You had the survivors finding them all and holding themselves up. I mean, what did you think to the setup with them already being holed up in this one? Do you think it limited the scope of the storytelling?
I didn't even think there was enough zombies.
I can actually agree.
There really wasn't enough.
I think when I first saw it, I was more kind of disappointed because it starts off and it seems like it's going to be one thing when they go to the city and it's completely overrun and it's like, ooh, interesting. And then, as you say, I get the point of the underground bunker and that's how you're exploring this, it's society, but in a microcosm. But at the same time, it also does feel like, this is because you didn't have the butcher, really, isn't it? So it's a lot easier to deal with just a few actors and then the odd zombie popping in every now and then.
Yeah, and it's very reminiscent of how a lot of zombie stuff is done these days, where it focuses more on the human aspect of it than it does the undead aspect of it. And like you said, Mike, the way it opens, it looks like it's going to be phenomenal when the zombie comes shambling up without the bottom jaw, the tongue hanging out.
I love that. Yeah.
Like that's probably my favorite zombie in all of Romero's films. But then it kind of, you guys are really making me question the fact that this is my favorite out of them now. Thanks for that.
Stop it! Do not go to the dark side.
Is this an intervention for you, John?
It might be because now I'm rethinking my entire thinking on the fact that this is my favorite of the trilogy.
But Josh, you are banned from this show from now on.
We're not judging you. The judge
I did like the little reference to Dawn, where he says all of the shopping malls are closed.
Yes. Yeah. And they do touch on the kind of religious aspect again, because I've completely forgotten how, but there is another reference to, this is the divine retribution. It wasn't a disease or anything like that. It's the Creator punishing us for our sins, kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, all right, that's kind of touching on the no more room in hell kind of idea, I guess.
Yeah.
I do think there's some nice little discussions in there, such as that one. It just, I think sometimes it has a tendency to get bogged down with how many F-bombs can we drop in this thing.
Yeah, so many.
I wasn't surprised to hear you say that there was lots of versions, because it does feel like a script in desperate search of a hook and an actual sort of main. I mean, it says a lot of things about society, like all of Romero's films do, but this just feels so basic, and it's struggling to find a main point and a main hook in the way that certainly Dawn did, and even Night to a degree, because it's just like, well, in a society, people are generally just gonna, get in their own way, and shitheads are going to take command and make things worse for everyone. And I'm like, yeah, this is all very basic stuff, George.
Yeah.
We all know this.
I mean, in all fairness, we are actually seeing that on the news nightly, so it could have just,
Yeah.
you know, it could have said, oh, yeah, we've seen all this before.
Maybe that's why I was so tired of it in the movie, because I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just do something.
It's
Just
like
do
watching the news.
Now
It really is, though.
there are points in the film when it does feel like it might have just been a quick, almost cash grab for Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we feel about, say, Bub talking?
I'm just not on board. I love Sherman Howard's performance as Bub, which is getting into the acting, but I'm not on board with the idea. And I love the concept of a Frankenstein type doctor who, like you said, the scientists are looking for a cure, and there's one guy that's just like, no, let's, this is a perfect opportunity to just be grisly and dissect everything and have no moral compunctions because they're dead. And I was like, this could be interesting, but then no, I didn't really go anywhere with that. It's probably wrong to say like this because you're all going to be like, oh, how gross. But I did like the twist that it was like he has so little respect for the dead that even the dead soldiers he just feeds to Bub as like positive reinforcement. Yeah, I was like, whoa, this guy is just so gone, isn't he?
He was extremely demented in what he was doing, and I find it funny that over the years Bub has kind of become a meme for zombies, like. In The Walking Dead, when Rick kind of loses it in season 3. And the phone just randomly starts ringing. There was this meme, yes. I don't know if you guys have seen it, where it just has Bub answering the phone on the other end. It's like, oh my god!
I did read that Bub appears in The Walking Dead actually in a cameo in one of the episodes when it's
no way.
I forget the episode title, but yeah, he's definitely there. Yeah. It's I'm pretty sure it's the same actor, but it's definitely Bub makes a cameo because in 2014, Sherman Howard's zombie character Bub appeared in a cameo in Us, the 15th episode of the 4th season of The Walking Dead, as one of the walkers encountered by Glenn and Tara in a railroad tunnel, an homage to not only the character but also the underground setting of Day of the Dead.
I shall have to watch this episode.
Yeah, I've got to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
DK, you'll appreciate this one. The song M1A1 from the 2001 Gorillaz studio album. Samples the pulsing synthesizers and cries of hello. Is anyone there from the opening of the film?
I've got that, yeah.
And my favorite reference is the film version of Resident Evil, where there's a newspaper that flies by with the dead walk, which is a reference to the start of the film.
Yeah. I can't believe they almost got Romero to do the Resident Evil movie. Yeah, so with regards to the direction of this thing, what did you guys think of the direction? Was it any good, bad? I mean, is there anything that stands out for you?
I was confused.
All over the place.
It was all over the place. They never find other people. They end up, I think, in an island that no one is explaining where they're at. And she falls asleep. Like, I would have slept inside the helicopter. I was not sleeping outside. Like, I didn't understand that. You're tough. You're a tough girl. You're smart. Why are you sleeping outside? I would have slept inside the helicopter.
What did you think to the setup where she opened the helicopter door and passed it off as a kind of dream sequence at that point?
I hate that. He does that.
I was very
twice,
angry.
And twice it's the cheapest friggin' fake out. I was like, oh, dude, you're better than this.
I mean, I think I understood that they were trying to say the situation was causing PTSD. On these people, and as she was reacting in her dreams, her fears were manifested in her dreams, and she was dreaming about this dread that was happening in reality, and this dream allowed her to expel those emotions and be able to stand strong. But I don't think that it was conveyed as clearly as they wanted to. It just came out really weird.
That's giving far too much credit. I think what happened is George Romero just saw Carrie and was like, "Ooh, I can do that." Fake out scare at the end. That'll be fun.
Is there anything in the direction in this one that you actually liked?
There's a really cool moment near the end, and I'm going into very specifics here, when they're climbing the ladder and the camera spins around it and it goes, it actually uses the space and goes 360. And I was like, that's a really cool move. But other than that, I just think
my favorite.
I don't know. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, my favorite part of the direction is actually the opening credits with I'm going to go back to the shambling zombie with no bottom jaw.
Yeah,
I think that was beautiful. It was beautifully shot, and it was such a great setup, and then it just didn't. pan
it
out.
was kind of what everybody wanted to see in this new one. That you wanted to see cities full of zombies and stuff like that, and it did feel a little like, all right, here we've given what you want. Now we're going to go back to our story.
Mm-hmm.
A bit, yeah.
But
I did like all the zombie stuff, to be fair. I mean, I know it's partly VFX production design, but I thought all the zombie scenes were really good. And they'd stepped up with the gore and the inventiveness. And other than the kind of head staying alive bit that I didn't love, all the other stuff, I was like, okay, you're doing a very good job here with the zombies. You know?
And the fact that they weren't blue.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding us of the blue-gray zombies.
So, yeah, we'll go on to the acting now. And you'll be interested in this, Mike. Tony Todd originally auditioned for the role of John, but he got turned down. But he would later play Ben in the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Romero wasn't convinced he would sound Jamaican enough. And he was like, nah, I've written Yarmon 17 times in the script, Tony. You can't make it convincing.
I wondered if, like, just, no, you need to come into this audition smoking a reefer, some kind of dreadlocks,
Bob Marley t-shirt,
Rastafarian hat. Was there any performances in this that you felt were good? Anything notable?
I like the female character. She was the first thing you see, right? And the first thought I had rewatching it for the podcast was how very 1980s of her in that outfit and the ponytail and the side sweep and of her hair. And I remember these things, and I liked her strength. Because women in those days didn't have the opportunity or the space to be a duality. You were either strong or you were weak. And she had to be strong, and she was unafraid. She was in the midst of men who were as patriarchal as you can get and as macho mentality as you can have. And she was like, I'm not moving. You would have to shoot me. But she moved to protect the people she cared about. And she was tough. But she never lost her femininity and her strength. And I could see that in her acting. And I thought that, her character could have been developed better, but that's a writing issue, But I thought she did a really good job. I thought she conveyed the message of strength as a woman really well. So I really liked her character. I don't identify with her in a lot of ways, but I do understand her character. And I have to say, I don't know if you guys looked it up or not, but I looked up the characters and the actors, and she has aged beautifully. Wow.
Oh,
she
yeah.
is so beautiful.
I follow her on Facebook, and she's,
lovely. She's lovely.
Yeah, she made a post, and she's really good with the fans as well. She's always, and, she hates Trump, so that puts her, up in my
Oh, she's extra beautiful.
I was going to criticize her, but now I'm not sure I want to.
No, you're not.
I showed Mike the other night that she was celebrating the other day because they're actually going to release a figure of her from this movie after 40 years and stuff. So she was kind of hyped about that.
Yeah. And as I said, yes, it can stand and ineffectually take a strop while all the other action figures bully it. Because that's what she does.
So what do you think? I mean, were there any standout performances for you in this, Mike?
Well, I have to disagree, first of all, with my Latina sister with regards to
how dare you,
Sarah.
Never.
I didn't think Sarah's performance was that good. Now, I don't think it's entirely her fault. Partly it's an issue that I have with the fact that she's the only woman in the entire film, which I think is a shocking omission because there's no reason you couldn't have women soldiers or scientists in 1985. So why is she the only one?
That's true.
Which was an issue to start with because I was like, pfft. But then I also read that like Laurie Cardill's only acting experience before this was in a soap, and I was like, yeah, it shows because this is soap opera acting. This is it just came off as fake and phony and sometimes melodramatic. But again, I also read that Romero had told her don't show any emotion because you're such a badass. And she said that, like, I was trying to give a performance, and as soon as I put any kind of inflection or emotion on it, Romero would stop me and be like, no, that's not this character. I want it to be more masculine and more kind of closed off and not show any kind of femininity or emotion. And I was like, yeah, that was a mistake by the director, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that despite those directions and despite being the only female and in the surroundings that her character was, in, I think that the actress did a really good job in conveying the message of strength and of resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not to go back to your original point, like in terms of good performances, I thought, like I said, I thought Sherman Howard as Bub was really effective, as much as I didn't like the idea. And I was affected when he finds Frankenstein's body. And he's like, oh, that's his kind of, master, his daddy, whatever, and it's emotional.
Well, I mean, it does show more humanity than, a lot of the people in this bunker. I think that was the kind of point. I mean, I do like Richard Liberty as Logan / Frankenstein.
Yes, he's good at what he does, yeah.
Sometimes he can come across as a little panto, but then, when you put it in the context of not all his marbles are there, I think it works. And you see him when you first see him, he's this, affable, jolly character. So when he comes and sits down and he's matching roads when he's asking for food and stuff like that, you kind of root for him. But as it goes on, and eventually when they do find that tape recording, I just think, oof, I think he plays the character very well, and he shows these little glimpses of this past issues, this past trauma that's been affecting him, but it never really comes out until, ironically enough, it's just an audio recording.
Yeah. No, I think there's bits of that throughout the whole film, because immediately I was kind of disturbed and put off when he starts showing Sarah the experiments and the kind of the previous major, who he's basically stripped down to like a spine and a brain and everything. And it's like, not only is it a kind of cool grisly effect, but you're like, this guy is freaking mad. And he's going to get everybody killed. And I even thought like Laurie Cardeal was good at acting against that when she was like, are you mad? We cannot tell them about this. What the F are you doing? You know, so yeah, like I said, he was perfectly balanced. That kind of like, he seemed like an affable, quite intelligent man, and he was able to stand up to the soldiers in the way that others weren't. But then, the very next scene, you'd be like, no, this dude is fucking crazy and out of it and doing some horrible Joseph Mengele shit. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Something that I found quite funny, as following on from Dawn of the Dead, where they got where extras got paid $1 and a T-shirt. This time, they were all volunteers to help in the film from residents from Pittsburgh, and everybody who played zombies received for their services a cap that said, "I played a zombie in Day of the Dead," a copy of the newspaper from the beginning of the film, the one that says "The Dead Walk," and again they all got $1. So. And I mean, this takes us on to the effects, and we've touched upon it. But I thought the effects in this, especially for the zombies, for the most part, there's one scene, I believe, in the tunnels that looks just awful to me, where they're both out of ammo, they've got nothing left. There's all the zombies approaching, and then John turns up, hands over the guns, and they start shooting. There's one little shot in that where a zombie's head's been like kind of bent back from the guns, and it just looks so fake. But other than that, I think the visual effects in this are really, really well done, especially for the zombies.
Oh yeah, vast improvement from Dawn. Vast improvement.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, like I said, when I went from this to Dawn, so when I saw, the zombie on the operating table turn over and his guts fall out, I was expecting similar kind of things in Dawn. So when I just saw a bunch of people in blue makeup and, luminous ketchup blood, I just thought, oh, okay. So maybe that's why, But apparently the blood and entrails used in the disemboweling of roads were real. They used pig intestines and blood, which was which was procured from a nearby slaughterhouse to make the scene. However, during the filming, the refrigerator housing all these things was unplugged by a janitor, and they started to spoil, causing most of those involved to become physically sick. In the Blu-ray interviews, Joe Pilato, referring to his death scene, says that he can still smell them to this day.
Oh.
So I mean, we're getting on now to the sound design. And do any of you have anything with regards to the soundtrack or the sound design?
I absolutely love the opening synth music that they play. That is always a favorite of mine in horror movies is the opening to Day of the Dead. And it's so very 80s. So very 80s.
God, yeah.
It has this amazing feel that kind of draws you into what you are going to expect. And that's the beauty of music. I love music, right? Because I think that it's made to draw in the attentions of those listening to it and kind of allow you to bring out feelings and that you may not necessarily be in touch with, like fear or anticipation or anxiety, and that expectation of the horror that you're about to be afflicted in, or you think you are.
And
it sets you up, right, Josh? It sets you up.
Yeah, the music coupled with the undead, taking over the city, and then again going back to the jawless zombie, just the music and all the zombies in the beginning. Just it sets it up for such an amazing story. And I'm definitely going to be changing my opinion on this film. It in hindsight, after everything we've talked about, it kind of does fall a little bit flat after that, but because it builds to something that just doesn't happen. Like, just that opening builds up and then just kind of falls flat on its face.
There's the scene where they knock out Salazar and she chops his arm off. I think the music in that as well is fantastic, and I fell in love with this sound. I mean, I'm heavily into synthwave now, but I fell in love with this soundtrack. Yeah. Well, let's hear this. Come on, this bit of feedback, mate. I found it quite funny. So
you laughed at it, so hopefully everyone else will. I had a quick scout on Letterboxd to see what people's opinions were, and they were mostly pretty, boring. But this one person, Noah Duzent, shout out if you happen to be a listener to the podcast. They gave Day of the Dead 3.5 stars, but it was more what they said that made us laugh. And they said, Bub's reaction to hearing Beethoven's Ninth through the headphones is the exact same as me when my uncle showed me Limp Bizkit's Nookie for the first time.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so on that note, we're going to see what we really think of this in a few moments, and I think we already can establish what most of us think of this in a few moments. But before that, you guessed it, we're going to head over to Vian to see what you think. And in a bit of a departure, we thought it best to gather your thoughts on all of the trilogies before specifically looking at Days. So, Vian, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so let's talk about the prodigal zombie movie franchise with Romero. Dan Sauer says all three films are perfect representations of the decade they were filmed in. I think ultimately Day of the Dead will always just be a step behind the other two, as I can admit freely that the 80s is a step behind the other two decades in cinema. That's debatable, Dan, but that's a conversation for a different day. But it's really a brilliant film, and I find it gets better with each viewing, so there could be a day where I might even decide it's the best of the trilogy. I wouldn't be the first. So Dan's got some pretty big feelings here. David Flax says night, day, dawn, in that order. And Jason X. Faust, Dawn of the Dead was peak for me. Definitely my favorite zombie film, possibly my favorite horror of all time. Night was great, but Barbara is hard to tolerate. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Day of the Dead was really good, but didn't feel as entertaining as Dawn. Peter Ferringio, I'm sorry, I probably butchered your name. Night and Dawn are pretty much neck and neck in my book in terms of ratings. Raw, powerful, hard-edged cinema. Day comes in at number 3, far gorier than the other two, but I find the casting a tad weaker, and it sort of drags in a couple of places. And that comes to us from Cinema of the 80s. John Hayden says Night 5, Dawn 5, Day 3, and he's with Cinema of the 70s. Now, getting into the Day of the Dead specifically, we have Max Isai. I hope I said your name right. Love it, as I do the other two movies in the series. I feel it's the most desolate of the three, and that's a really interesting perspective. This is post-society and the very remaining few dealing with that. Great movie. And, of course, Bub is one of the most memorable characters in the trilogy. Now, this is not his comment. This is me, Van, speaking. And his comment makes me think that I wonder how much of this movie specifically was an influence for Max Brooks's wonderful novel, World War Z, not to be confused with the movie it is based on, which was a clusterfuck of epic proportions. They had a wonderful opportunity to do a documentary-style movie, which would have been really terrifying. But again, it's the post-society aspect of it that I find really interesting, and I think he's onto something there. Movie Sky, again, says it's not as good as Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, but still a good time. And Carnivus it says it's their favorite of the three. So we have somebody who's really in that camp. Severenix, it's a masterpiece. I watch it often. I love the soundtrack, and the acting, while over the top at times, really suits the dire situation they're in. Also, the effects still hold up to this day, as long as you ignore the background zombies who looked fine on VHS. Haha. You know, and there's always something to be said for practical effects and makeup effects. And this is a hill I'll die on, because I feel the same way. Back when I learned photography, and again, this is Vianne speaking, I learned photography with film and working in dark rooms. And I think there's a certain warmth, there's a certain realty to these kind of effects, this kind of photography, this kind of makeup that you cannot get digitally, you cannot get with CGI. So I think there's something to be said for that. Arthur J.R. White, par for the course on storyline, but top of the list on practical effects. Again, hitting that practical effects note. Also the first to introduce the idea of zombies having some ingrained memory of life and a functioning intellect. Carol, 1969, loved it. Gorehound, 1971, great film. So there's different things that are going to appeal to different people. Now, personally, in terms of the trilogy, I think the original was the biggest commentary on society at the time, and it's kind of reflective of things going on now as well, so I think it's timeless in that sense. But a great trilogy by a great filmmaker, and something that really set the stage for a lot of what we're seeing in horror now, even video games, and particularly in the zombie subgenre. So with that, I'm kicking it back to the studio.
Thank you as always, Vianne. Much appreciated as always. And you out there, don't forget, if you haven't had your say and still dying to, not just on Day, but on any of the trilogy, then let us know on our socials. You can find those in the link tree below, or leave a comment on this episode. We're always interested in what you have to say. And so we come to our final thoughts. Does this one hold up to the previous two, or is it going to shame the trilogy? We'll see as we each give our conclusion and final score out of 5. So, yeah, Josh, I'm going to come over to you first. What do you ultimately think of this one?
So, visually, special effects wise, let me fix what I just said. Special effects wise, I feel that this is definitely the best out of the trilogy for the zombie special effects and the zombie makeup. You can definitely tell that there was a higher budget for it. But when it comes to the storytelling, I feel that after the opening credits, it kind of fell on its face. There's a lot of undeveloped characters that I personally feel like could have been developed a little bit more. There are certain characters that I feel they were way too over the top for a film like this. And there were just many aspects of the entire film that yes, I do personally, again, it's one of my favorites, but in all honesty, it's not the best out of the trilogy.
Yeah.
But for me, it is. For me, it's still my favorite out of the trilogy.
Fair enough.
So-
What would you give it out of 5?
3.5.
3.5. Okay. We'll come to you next, Nita.
Okay, so yeah, definitely not among my favorites. It's among my least favorite overall zombie movie. It fails too much for me in the dialogue. I do love, the female character. I love the progression and improvement on the special effects. I think that the idea of what they were trying to do, in theory, is good. And they could have developed it better had they given him an appropriate budget. But I think that more research definitely needed to be done. Not among my favorites, not one that I seek out to watch in comfort in any way, shape, or form. And I hesitantly give it, because I don't like giving bad scores, a 1.5.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right, go on,
Yeah.
Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah, moving quickly on.
I just want to thank Nita for making me look positively happy about this movie.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. I feel so bad.
Are you all ready for my prepared statement?
Yeah,
From
come
me?
on. Let's have the essay.
So even with my excuse me. Even with my limited past viewing experience, I've long thought this was the weak link in the initial trilogy, and I still stand by that. There's a reason it's the one most neglected when it comes to, for example, home media releases, in my opinion. The characters here are far less interesting than the mall survivors of Dawn or even the farmhouse group of Night. Too often they feel more like cliches and catchphrases than actual people. And my word, you can tell the female lead is a soap opera actor, though I suppose that's fitting, since half the time the film feels shot and played like an episode of Dynasty. The satirical edge and dark humor that defined the earlier films are not as sharp, and I'm sorry, but a shambling corpse wielding a gun with precision accuracy may be the most ridiculous thing in all 3 films. That said, it's not a disaster. The deeper themes of Romero's earlier efforts are still here. Man's inhumanity contrasted with the supposed monsters, psychological toll of survival, questions of ethics and morality, and how we just can't get out of each other's way to make progress. Credit too to Savini and his team for the effects and gore. They're stepped up here, often delightfully imaginative in the more extreme and grotesque moments. There are strong performances, though not across the board, and the weaker actors do drag things down. Still, the action is solid with some real tension and a few shocking moments. Though not the cheap nightmare fake-outs. Ultimately, it's good, but not great, with just enough flashes of genius breaking through. And hey, next to the later Romero sequels and the endless remakes, this one's practically an Oscar contender. And I went with 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm feeling really bad.
You.
But not bad enough to change it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you heard a sound, that was me planting the flag on this hill I'm about to die on. I really don't give a shit. Yeah, a much more introspective film than previous installments. Dark, gritty, uncompromising about the breakdown of human society and its effect not only on sociological themes, but psychological themes. Delves into the idea that humans are their own worst enemy in a much more successful way than Romero has since. One could be forgiven for thinking there's very little zombie action on offer, but to me, by the end, it's more than made up for it with some truly fantastic makeup effects by Savini at the top of his game. The gore isn't for everyone, but you can't deny it's effective. It may not be as genre-defining as its predecessor, but to me, personally, I find it a superior movie, and it sticks the landing fine. It's got some decent performances by the assembled cast, a thought-provoking script, a location that more than conveys the hopelessness of its post-apocalyptic denizens, and a sublime score by John Harrison, which make this not only my favourite zombie movie, but one of my all-time favourite movies, period. And like Josh said, it may be nostalgia, and at this point, I'm just flipping you all the bird. And I'm going to give it 5. I'm giving it 5. So
you broke my heart.
Which means, by adding the scores together, Day of the Dead has a final Silver Screen score of 3.25 out of 5. Is that right? Is that what you're getting, Mike?
That's exactly what I've got, yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think to that? The total. Is it? Do you think it's fair, or is it way too generous in your opinion?
It's very close to mine and Josh's. Well, literally between mine and Josh's score. So clearly we agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So, yeah, and that's it. Both for this episode and our mini zombie season. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if so, please hit that like and subscribe button and follow us on our socials. All that's left for me to do now is thank our guests for joining us today's show. So, Nita, thank you for taking time out and pissing all over this one.
Oh, you're most welcome. Anytime, my brother.
Have you had a good time at least?
Oh, 100%. Always.
Nice one. What have you got coming up? Anywhere the listeners can find you?
Yes, October 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard is our next Sci-Fi Queen episode. We're going to be concluding our month-long celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month and the influence and contributions of Latinos in science fiction. So join us. Nice
one. Josh, again,
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Hope you enjoyed it.
No problem. I definitely enjoyed it. It's been great fun the last couple of weeks.
Good.
And I would definitely come back anytime.
Oh, well, I'm sure Mike will be in touch now. So, do you have anywhere the listeners can find you?
On Facebook, and then if you look up Infinite Studios Florida on YouTube, you will find us there. We actually have a 6-episode miniseries that's going to be premiering the Sunday before Halloween, and one episode is going to drop daily at 9 p.m. Sunday through Halloween, with the ending of the miniseries happening Halloween night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Nice. So what's that about? Can you give us a brief synopsis?
I can, actually. You guys are actually going to be the first that are going to know the actual story, because we've been keeping it kind of under wraps. It is a post-apocalyptic story. It opens up with one of the characters, just going about his day, and then wakes up the next morning, and the sun has, for lack of a better word, disappeared from the sky. And we find out later that there's reasons why, and I don't want to give too much away. And it's sci-fi, but in the end, it's also a love story. It's about two people finding each other at the end of the world, and it's taken us a while to do, and it's because night shoots, obviously, and but it's coming together, and it's gonna be good, and we hope that everybody enjoys it. So
cool. Yeah, something to look forward to. Nice one. We'll check that out, and we'll put the links in the description as always. Mike, ever dependable Mike. You had a good time on this fella?
I did, yeah, and I will happily invite everyone here back on my episodes, at least, even if DK is not speaking to you now.
You can all go fuck yourselves.
Don't feel bad, DK. We all love some terrible movies. It's fine,
dude. This series literally started off with Buckaroo Banzai. I'm used to the slings and arrows by now. So, but yeah, what have you got coming up next on Cinema Classics and Regular Flavor? Anywhere you can be found?
Yeah, I mean, you can always find us via the link tree in the episode's description. That's got all of our social media links on, and it may be growing soon. All the usual places, our YouTube channels, etc. And as for what's coming up, I know you've got something coming up on actual Halloween, which I won't spoil.
I'll come to that in a minute. I'll spoil it, so don't worry, dude.
And the next thing that I'm doing on this channel is another Cinema Classics episode, where, in honor of a particular big musical release, we're off to see The Wizard.
Nice. Yes.
Cool. So you're looking at that film with Fred Savage about video games, yeah?
we're watching Muppet Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Ooh, that's a bad one. Yeah, so nice. So you've got that. You out there have got those to look forward to. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want another cult fix, you don't have to wait long. We may have started the spooky season off early with these specials, but that doesn't mean we've forgotten Halloween itself. Before our next regular episode, we'll be back on 31st for a very special episode of Cult Classics, where I'm joined by a truly awesome guest as we follow Nick Cage and head down to Willy's Wonderland. So, why not join us, kids? Until then, take care of yourselves. We hope to see you soon. And before that, just go on, run, you fucking lunatics.
And your scores, choke on them.
You have been listening to the Cult Classics Show, part of the Silver Screen podcast. Created, written, and hosted by DK. Produced and edited by Mike Wilson. Feedback section produced by Lady VN. Opening credits by Ian Sanderson. Music by Timeless Journey. Follow us on social media. Links to all of our social media pages can be found on our link tree. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This has been a Mad Badger production for the Media Matters Podcast Network. Copyright 2024. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time. And remember, no matter where you go, there you are.